Now we will move on to the second session, and the second session is entertainment and media. And for this session, it will be actually jointly, or it was actually jointly organized by the Silicon Valley Group Miilk. As you may well know, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the industries that's hardest hit was the entertainment industry in terms of performance and concerts, and the media consumption environment is seeing a lot of changes due to COVID-19. So we're going to talk about all of this during this session. And for this session, we have many companies who are leveraging VR and AR technologies including the avatars. And actually, we have used a lot of these different technologies for this session. So I hope that you'll be able to enjoy this session.
먼저 그 실리콘밸리에서도 주목받고 있는 AmazeVR의 이승준 대표님의 발표. 그다음에
Now let's start with Mr. Lee, Steve Lee from AmazeVR, and he will be followed by Mr. Jaekwon Miilk, and also Mr. Lee Jinha from the SPATIAL. Also, we have our moderator, Ms. Kim Insoon from the Miilk Korea. The first presenter will be Steve Lee on the podium. Please welcome.
안녕하세요. 저는 LA에서
Good morning. My name is Steve Lee. I am a co-CEO and co-founder of AmazeVR in Los Angeles. So I am very pleased to see you, although via video. So thank you very much for your participation today. In the post-corona era, I'm going to give you some kind of ideas about the possible changes of the lives of the people and what we are doing in the process of that. I don't think that what we are doing is the only way, or it's just one of the absolute way, but we can just present ourselves as one of the possibilities. First of all, I'd like to explain about my company. Our company was incorporated by the first founders of Kakao Korea, and also with Ernst Lee, we are also forming the management as co-CEOs. And as I said, we are ex-members of Kakao, so we also have some members who have been working at the Hollywood as well. And recently, we were very fortunate to have a very meaningful opportunity. So we just had an opening in August this year in the US, and also we have a good opportunity for the entertainers and the artists of Korea who can work in the US. So I believe they're in their potential, and I look forward to having more job opportunities and also business opportunities with them in the US as a combination of the US and Korea. The next big thing platform is as follows. We can also think of our experiences. In the past, the Kakao phone was also having the experiences of having the businesses coming from the mobile phone applications. What had been done in the PCs only, so that kind of future can be re-emerged in the future. So what we are doing here is that when we have the replacement of televisions or the monitors, it can be accessories of the monitors. That kind of development can be made in the future. With that conviction, our company was incorporated in 2015. So in the virtual reality or VR businesses, we want to be something like the Netflix, and we are having that kind of platform technology in here. So with that technology, we were able to have the investment and funded of $7 billion raised in 2019, and also the $7 million again this year as well. 2.5 additionally was raised in December 2019. If you look at the slide here, so this is something related to the COVID-19 situation. Let me go back to the COVID-19 situation later, and also I'll come back to this slide later. Why now? It means that why are we doing this kind of entertainment VR businesses now? of all times. Let me start with the situation in the US first. I know that the lives have been changed in Korea because of the COVID-19, but the US is more advantages and disadvantages for these changes. And even today in the US, we have more than 20,000 cases, and also for having 390,000, and also we have the 190 deaths now so far. And the population of the US is about 6 times that of Korea. So you can imagine what kind of impact has been incurred in the US so far. So especially in the music industry, the impact was felt very severe. So they had used to have the concerts like 10,000 people or 20,000 people in the past. However, that is just thing of the past. So that cannot be done anymore in the future. So that kind of impact of COVID-19 will be big enough so that they have their change of mind, and so that even after the COVID-19, there can be many trials in this process. One of the very popular and also impact was like this. Fortnite was a music concert by a very big game company. A rapper called Travis Scott was in there, so it was part of the competition. About the 12.3 million people viewed this music concert online. As everybody knows, we have BTS, and they had the Bang Bang concert. There was also the online concert that was very popular. About 750,000 people paid for this concert in order to watch this. The revenue was the $20 million by selling the tickets. Also, the VR. The AmazeVR is focused on the real pictures, but in addition to that, we have Wave XR, which is focusing their business on the VR concert only. So we made the VR concert along with the TikTok and Wave XR. We had the weekends concert as well. 2 million unique viewers were there, and also in TikTok, they have a lot of reproductions, so they increased about 1.5 billion views afterwards. So, what kind of preparations have been made in case of virtual reality this matter? This is not felt very real in Korea yet, but as of May last year, there was the Apple's acquisition request. Next VR is having some kind of turnaround in their revenues as well. Apple and Facebook have been acquiring relevant companies in many ways. For example, the Apple has acquired Next VR early this year, and also Next VR is a company that does the broadcasting of sports events and so on. It's about the $100 million were raised in that acquisition. And also in 2020, there is also rumor that the VR headset will be released. So therefore, the Apple is buying up the platforms, as many people believe. And because of the COVID-19 situation, the services have not been very active, but they have offline VR enjoyment. So many of the companies have been growing up very much until from last year. They have Series A investment have been raised like $79 million. So it means that even though headsets are not ready for some people, VRs can be enjoyed. So that is some kind of new business concept for the virtual reality. Now, let's move on to what's happening in our company. So, as mentioned before, our company is focused on the shooting of the real pictures for the VR. So we did a lot of R&D in that regard. For example, but we wanted to have the kind of capturing technology to make the form look as if it is just the real thing in within 1 or 2 meter diameter. So we might go back to the previous stage when people are just facing each other face to face. But what I thought is that the kind of applications are not so much real, so we wanted to add some kind of visual effect issues as if we are watching a Marvel film. So we can add some additional visual effects on the concert. So in this kind of concert that we are presenting, you can see something real and something unreal at the same time. So that is the visual effects that we're doing. This is some kind of contest we are doing. So this is called stages. So this is a stage that cannot cannot be possible in the past. And also we have visual screens working at the same time, so they are just pulsating at the speed of the rhythms, or they can being split into many pieces, and also the taxonomies and also the letters are just coming to you out of the screen here, and also the lights are just spreading around you, surrounding you, and also the movies are just moving in a very unrealistic manner, and also the fans can work as avatars to play along with the artists as if they are just in the concert, and also in the end they want to be looking like avatars, and also you have avatar friends in there. So it's a kind of social event among avatars. That is something that cannot be done at all in your daily lives, but it's some kind of concert we are going to present you in the future. So we have some kind of concerts, 50,000 people or the 5,000 to 10,000 people. So we're going to have the online offline businesses, and by splitting them together. For example, in the form of the offline, we can have some kind of moving tour bus. About 50 people can be invited into the tour bus so that they can enjoy it. This concept of tour bus comes from the US. When artists are moving around venue to venue for their concerts, they are not taking airplanes, they are taking buses. So these buses have this kind of interiors like that. So that's my imagination. And also we have the interior of the businesses here. When you have the motion pictures, if you have the VR effect in here, you feel as if you are just flying together with all these people inside the VR. So it's kind of motion experience. And also you can have the places where you can play and hang around with your friends, like not just a couple of friends, but tens of thousands of the friends together. So the bus is a main content, and artists and the fans can buy up the tickets, and they can place here together, they hang out, they watch the VRs together, they can buy these memorabilia, and also they can have the activation through the filters and so on. This kind of offline event together with the online event. So this is ticketing site for selling these tickets for them. All this kind of content is distributed by the online center by AmazeVR. What we are making now is a little bit different from other companies. And also what we are aiming at is to have the highest possible quality of the screens and videos. We need a lot of good equipment. We have a lot of technologies. All these technologies are becoming modular in our case. In VR and VR processing services, and also the Unreal Engine games, which are ever improving, and also utilizing the most optimized pipelines, we are being differentiated by other companies. Other companies have the budget of 3 to 4 billion won, but we can reduce the budget by 1/10. That is the technology we are focusing on. I told you that we are working in the US, around Los Angeles, but we can also have the partnership with the record labels which have the big names in the entertainment businesses. It means that we are working with most of the record labels with top entertainers. So this is the slide to show you what next steps we have. We are making now the foundations as the first step. We are trying to set up our team in Korea, and also within July, Rock was the first entertainer we shoot together, and also we are doing the post-production job now, and also we are planning to have a tour program. So online and offline concerts are under preparation at the moment. So what we are aiming at is new normal after COVID-19. Our wish is that people can find the new types of entertainment after this pandemic. So the virtual reality and the music entertainment have been discussed from the second part of last year, actually. When we had this kind of idea of the online concerts, we talked with the record labels who are existing, and contents are very important for these record labels. So up until last year, they were reluctant to discuss this kind of online record. However, they changed their mind after the COVID-19 because of all the cancellations of the physical concerts. One example is Bang Bang concert by BTS, which proved to be very successful in revenues as well. They now realize that this kind of new contents are needed in this kind of new normal era. Same realization has happened to the fans as well. These kind of things are new kind of content, even if they can enjoy it online only. So although nothing has been improved on the technical side per se, we have a new breakthrough of our businesses by giving the opportunities for people to realize that are the new areas to enjoy in the post-corona era. So that was a very good foundation we made so far. So we were possible to have this kind of foundation because we were based on the 3D and the streaming technologies. It was 2015 when our company was incorporated. At that time, the technology side was not so much advanced or savvy, but 5 years have passed. Now it's different from the past because we do have the foundation of technologies that enable the meaningful services to be provided to the people. So this is the right time for us to have the good combination of the need and the technology. So I do not think that VR is the absolute replacement or the only replacement, because you have the mobile phones at the same time, you have the landline phones used at the same time as well, right? Therefore, there can be other replacements by VR. However, we can have the VR headsets in the future. With that headsets, we can view the VRs and Netflix and AR as well. But that will be one of the possible and promising media in the future. So far, I have given you a future of the music concert after COVID-19. Thank you very much for your listening.
네, 이승준 대표님.
That was Mr. Lee Seung-jun. So I am the moderator for the session. I am from Miilk, Korea. And by presenting about the future of concerts, so Mr. Lee presented the new direction for the media and entertainment business to take. So the AmazeVR is based in LA, and for today's forum, actually, he delayed his departure. So now we're going to connect to Silicon Valley, and this presentation will be about spatial. So it is actually going to be a very interesting presentation or video. So spatial actually goes beyond the existing virtual technologies to use hologram and VR technologies in developing collaborative platforms as if you are all together in a physical space. So the media platform industry is transforming and is being evolved. I would like to invite Mr. Son from the Miilk to talk about, to listen to his presentation.
네, 안녕하십니까? 실리콘밸리의 혁신 미디어.
Hello everyone.
더 밀크의
I am from the Miilk, which is an innovative media of the Silicon Valley. I am extremely pleased and honored to attend virtually the Digital Economy Forum, and it is actually the first time for me to present to you with AR and VR technology, but I am very excited to do so today. Today, I'm going to talk about the future that will be the streaming, or that will be based on streaming. The US and the Silicon Valley are undergoing enormous changes, and the key to these changes is media. So there's a slogan, everything from home, and we also refer to it as X from home. So unlike in Korea, the quarantine measures in the US have not been so successful. So a lot of things need to be done at home in America. So everything from home, or X from home concept, is quite unique. And another concept, of course, is work from home. abbreviated also as the WFH.
내년까지
So a lot of companies are expected to work from home, including like Facebook and Google up until the beginning of next year. And a lot of Silicon Valley-based companies are following suit. And at least until next year, or this time next year, a lot of companies will work from home in the United States. The second concept is school from home. So the autumn season, the fall semester should have opened, but it didn't. And a lot of students are working from home, including mine. So our home, my home, is also a place for work, but also for school, for schooling. And third concept is gym from home.
gym이라고 하죠. 보통 이제 헬스클럽이라고 하는데
So in Korea, we refer to it as health club. So in the United States, majority of gyms are closed. So a lot of people are working out from home. And in the Silicon Valley area, because of wildfires, we cannot actually go outside a lot. So that is why a lot of people are working from home. And our house or home has become a personal gym. And another concept has emerged. That is a telemedicine.
이거는 이제 닥터 투
So a lot of people are receiving remote health care, and the concept is summed up as doctor to home or DH2. So the telemedicine is a new growing trend, and in Korea there are some limitations, but in the United States a lot of people find it dangerous to go to hospitals, and a lot of doctors are exposed to the risk of being contaminated by the patients. So that is why primarily we prefer to get treated at home or cared for at home. So there is this concept, doctor to home or hospital to home. So home is also becoming a hospital in a way.
이렇게 표현을 하다 보면은 everything from home.
So we can really say that everything is from taking place at home. So X to home is a concept that is resonating with everyone, and it is indeed a growing trend. And of course, this is because the quarantine measures have not been successful, but it is also because the consumer behavior is drastically changing, and many people are feeling this at first hand. So you can say that the lifestyles are changing as well. More people are working from home, so that is why people tend to get up later in the morning and tend to sleep later at night. So if we compare pre and post COVID, so we can see now there are less number of early birds and more number of night owls or night persons. So this is one of the fundamental changes brought about by COVID-19. And it has become a growing trend, and it is having an impact not only on policies. And according to the PwC survey, about 72% of employees or office workers would like to work remotely at least 2 days a week. So you can say that this is a drastic change pre and post to COVID, as illustrated by this graph. So work from home will indeed become the mainstream in the future. And the satisfaction level is quite high as well, not only in terms of the policy, but personally, a lot of employees find work from home quite satisfactory. 73% of the employees or the workers found that work from home was quite convenient, and they really felt that it has provided a free lifestyle to them. So you can see that the consumers or the employees are also welcoming the government policies of working from home. So that is why work from home, school from home, and gym from home trends are benefiting these companies. So Peloton is a gym equipment manufacturer, and Lululemon acquired a mirror recently, and Zoom, everybody knows Zoom, is a virtual platform provider, and telemedicine company, Teladoc, is seeing a lot of growth, and they are engaged in a lot of M&A activities. So their stock prices have gone up, have seen record high levels, and Peloton, Teladoc, and Lululemon Zoom, they have one commonality. So gym from home, work from home, hospital from home, school from home, they are all experts in this area, but they are streaming-based companies. That is their common trait. So as you can see, lots of things are being streamed nowadays. And in the media sector, when it comes to streaming, we think about Disney Plus or Netflix or Hulu. You think about the media companies or media tech companies. But these companies, like Peloton, gym equipment provider, Teladoc, Lululemon, and Zoom, these companies are also very much specialized in streaming. So in the future, a lot of companies will be engaged in a streaming war. So when you talk about streaming, you think about Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, and Prime Video, and so forth. But in the future, going forward, you'll think about the hospital-related companies, gym-related companies, school-related companies. So a lot of these companies will also enter this streaming war. And so the definition or the concept of streaming will also change. Recently, a film, Mulan, was released. Actually, Mulan was supposed to be released in the theaters and cinema, but Disney Plus recently actually is providing this film with a premium service. So of $30 monthly subscription. So this is a premium VOD service. So it's not a general average of VOD service. It's a premium VOD service, and it is also a part of a streaming media. So a lot of healthcare, a virtual platform, school, and tourism-related companies are going to provide these PVOD services. So when we talk about streaming in the future, we're not only going to talk about the media companies, but also other companies as well. So as such, we're going to see an acceleration of 5G deployment. And we expect that it will be in the next month that iPhone 12 Pro Max 5G, very difficult to pronounce, will be released. So new iPhone will be launched next month, and the 5G iPhone will be widely used in the United States. And if that happens, then it will be possible to deploy faster, speedier internet. So streaming is not only being used or leveraged in the media industry, but also in other industries as well. So in that sense, I believe that the future of travel will be streamed, will be streaming in many ways. So travel will be streamed, and if we talk about the future of commerce will also be streamed. And of course, it is happening right now, but this kind of trend will be accelerated in the future. So now I'm being able to present this presentation based on AR and VR technology. But when we talk about the future of work, it will also be based on streaming. So I believe that after COVID-19, post-COVID-19, all companies, so almost all companies will become tech companies and media-oriented companies. And at the core of that trend will be streaming. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Son, for his wonderful presentation. Mr. Son said that everything from home will be our future, and media will have a direction in this kind of new normal environment. And Mr. Son also mentioned that we are having the new normal. So while he's talking, we have our presenter here, and we have Ms. Lee in New York coming together in this kind of virtual space of the DF, Digital Forum, Digital Economic Forum 2020. So this is the time for us to now go to Mr. Jinha, the CPO of SPATIAL. So you are in New York. What time is it there? Hello. Now in New York, it's 11 p.m. in New York. Thank you very much for waking up at very late night. So, Mr. Son, what is your time in Silicon Valley? What time is it there? It's 7 p.m. I see. In Silicon Valley, it's 7 p.m. It's a little bit better for you to stay up. So we are now connecting the whole world for this Digital Forum 2020. So since we are here together on this screen, I feel that we are just in a meeting face to face actually. Before we have our discussion, I'd like now Mr. Lee to have his own introduction. Good morning and good evening. Thank you very much for the introduction. I am a co-founder of SPATIAL. I am CPO, Chief Production Officer. My name is Lee Jinha. As you see here, space reality is something kind of the place for you to have a picture of your avatar by taking your pictures. SPATIAL is a company to help you to do that. So as if you're working in any of the places in the world, you just have the feeling that with your avatar, you're just cooperating with your co-workers. Yes, thank you. And the future of entertainment and also media can be enjoyed by Mr. Lee. What do you think about the future of media and entertainment? Yes, Mr. Son gave us a very good presentation, and the media companies are now becoming more and more like the technology companies. I am in agreement with his remark. Another thing that I would like to add here is that the media in the future will be, as will be mentioned by AmazeVR, will be coming to the space of the 3D, like a virtual reality. Many things will be changed. One of the things to be changed greatly is that when we are in the virtual reality, the online, they can be connected. However, the users actually they are sitting alone in their living room, or they're just doing the game. They are just can be in the isolated mode. So if the platforms are becoming more converged with the media, that kind of media experiences can be immersed with the social experiences as well, because even though you're alone in your room, you can just be joined by all other audiences in the rest of the world, as if you're just cheering up together. If it is a game, you're all the cheerers, and also if it is a concert, you're just the audience and dancers here. So you're not isolated, you're not feeling isolated even though you are alone. So that is something that catches my attention very much. So in the past, we wanted to have the mode of depersonalizing the people. Although people are isolated, all these isolated people can be incorporated and joined together in the VR reality. That is something that is very much beneficial for the people, because they have the sense of unity together even though they are staying at home or working from home. Yes, I believe so, because that will be our reality in the future. And also the Zoom is a representative company in the post-corona era. I hope that SPATIAL can be another example like that. So I really feel that we are just talking together. So my first question is like this. My first question goes to somebody who can answer this. We have the great mobility issues, and also because of the banning of the assembly, the offline entertainments are being stopped or delayed, so to speak. On the other hand, online content has bigger and bigger demand, as VR, AR, and OTT over-the-top technologies are expected to grow ever. So when we have the AR concept and VR concept, it has been a while since they are around in the market. So they are represented by Facebook and Samsung Electronics. They are just makers of the AR equipment. But so far, we have seen some kind of setbacks of these technologies. Why is that? Why did they experience setbacks until recently? Is it only a matter of device, or is it a matter of device and the content and the network together? Mr. Lee, would you like to give an input about that question? Yes. You raised the question. You answered the question in your own question, actually, because that's, even though there is one technology coming on the market, it will not change the whole world. I don't think that will be happening or that was happening. As you said, there was a device issue and also it is network issue as well. So devices should be more lighter. They're becoming lighter and lighter, and also display should be also having the better technologies. When these mobile phones were around, remember that they had some waiting time for several years until the next phase of the item was out in the market. So in the meantime, you have to have the user interfaces accumulating because it takes time always for the people to give the references and so on. So some people are early adopters and risk takers, even though market is not open yet, they just enter the market. That means they can lack the content. It's a matter of chicken or egg first. So it's an issue who is developing, who is leading the market first. So we are not having the speed of 7 to 8 years ago at the moment. That is true, you're right. But if you think of the technological development or some other breakthrough technologies as will be discussed by AmazeVR, if you look at the trend over time, like a year-to-year trend, it is actually increasing, it's going up. So let's compare to this year to last year and the year before, because we have demand on these issues, and also we have the demand that has been increasing by 12 times according to the statistics. So we have some kind of a waiting time. So, however, if you reach an inflection point or singularity, that will just abruptly change the whole picture of the industry. So we were kind of waiting. That's what I would like to say. Mr. Lee, would you like to say a word?
Yes, I believe that in 2014, Facebook actually acquired Oculus at 2 trillion Korean won, and within the VR sector, there was some sort of bubble that was built up. And at the time, of course, technologies undergo this type of natural process. But during the acquisition timing, actually, the VR technology or software not very much satisfactory to the public because the consumers had to buy a very expensive PC, and we had to embed different sensors at home, and we had to also install a lot of different fixed lines in order to use that kind of devices. So actually, a meaningful hardware is the Oculus Quest that was launched last year. And so for the past 4 years, these bubbles sort of burst along the way. And Facebook and Apple and Samsung and Microsoft had been in the process of developing relevant technologies. And since last year, I think that the meaningful use of these devices has really taken off. So Mr. Son is trying to move the wine glass, cocktail glass. So can you stop drinking your cocktail and also share your observations? Oh, this is quite interesting, this platform. Yes, so I have been involved in the AR and VR technology for a long time. And rather than technology, I think that there were some issues regarding the usability of the technology. So a lot of people actually hadn't been adjusted to the use of this technology, but we are very much focused on the technology per se. That is why we fail to notice the importance of explaining about the use of technology, how to use the relevant technologies. So we should have seen some improvements in that area. So, for example, we use the VR technology through smartphones, and Google and Samsung Electronics had made a lot of attempts in that area. And their efforts really did help to raise awareness about the VR technologies, but it sort of prevented the consumers from gaining hands-on experience of VR. So the companies like SPATIAL and the AmazeVR of CEO Lee, so you can see that the technology is quite advanced. So if you look at the consumers could have been exposed to those kind of technologies, I believe that the consumers would feel more familiar with with these technologies. And as it was mentioned by our panelists, so I think that we have reached a tipping point. So in 2020, in August or in September, so I think that there were tipping points due to COVID-19, but also the technologically speaking, we're seeing a lot of improvements in terms of technologies developed by AmazeVR and the Miilk. So the VR and AR industry itself is booming, also in scale and size. And Apple, whether is going to launch AR glasses in 2020, and I am actually 22, and I am actually using Oculus Quest, and Oculus will probably launch a new version this year. And we hope to see Oculus Quest 2 or 3, so that it will look like more like the ordinary glasses that we use, and so that the consumers will find it more familiar. So if these type of AR glasses come to the market, I believe that these experiences will be more generalized, meaning that its usability will be improved, and I think that in that sense we have indeed reached the tipping point of these technologies in 2020.
Well, thank you very much. Having said that, because of the COVID-19, we are living in a virtual reality just like this now, but the pharmaceutical companies are now developing the vaccines very earnestly. With the vaccines available to all the general public and the vaccination will be made, maybe we can go back to the society where people are meeting face to face once again. What about then? We have any reason for the businesses like this if we have the lower participation by the people on these kind of new technologies? What will happen then? What if people are just out on the street again? Mr. Lee, please. Well, I believe that these kind of new experiences will not be totally replaced even after the COVID-19 normalization. They will go to a different way. For example, if you think of the text messaging SMS or some ideas, they evolved themselves into the kind of group chatting, like the Kakao Talk or the WhatsApp and so on. So within this kind of context of the COVID-19, we are creating some new experiences, and depending on how effective these experiences are, some of them will survive, some of them will not survive after coronavirus is gone away. As mentioned before, we now have the foundation of the new technologies. If COVID-19 was the reason or momentum for people to utilize it, I know that some of them will be surely surviving. How about Mr. Lee? What do you think about that after COVID-19? Yeah, first of all, in case of my company, SPATIAL, the purpose of the platform started as an entertainment tool to have collaboration and co-enjoyment together. It started as a way of having the co-working. After COVID-19, work from home became mandatory and lockdown was in place. Therefore, we have 10 times of the usage within a month or two. So we have very special and particular experience. Based on our observations, the work from home is something that is not necessitated only because of the COVID-19. We believe that work from home is some kind of ideal working condition for people. People do not want to commute from work to home every day. They want to just go to work only when they want. They want to work where they want to work actually as well. So this kind of the realization of the demand and desire by the people as well. So if they have all the capabilities, they can work anywhere, even if it's a home or the other in public places or the company. Only the COVID-19 was kind of small stimulus for that. What it did to the people is that they just made work from home as a compulsory one, and they also enabled people to realize that work from home is really workable and possible. So people now know that we can work from home. And also, they realize that there are a lot of benefits more than the disadvantages in working from home. Even if they have disadvantages, if they solve these issues, shortcomings of work from home with some kind of new platforms or new ideas, I believe that the meanings will be still there, and also they can just continue to work from home, and also they don't care about the distance and so on. If it is you have work from Tucson Park, and you can also collaborate with somebody in the Silicon Valley in the U.S. Wherever you are in, if you are a needed asset, you can participate in the businesses. So the divide in various forms, like the digital divide or the wealth divide or the distance divide will solved out. So you can have the work happening anywhere in the world. That is this big benefits. I have one thing to comment here to add. Mr. Son, please. Mr. Lee, I have a question. I'm in Spatial now, so the sky is very blue. I like it very much. So California is now in that ideal situation because it had very orange color yesterday because of the wildfire, and also today they have gray color. But in Spatial, the sky is blue, and I can see outside the window. I feel very refreshed and I feel very happy. So in the virtual reality, this is my first time to feel relieved and happy. I really want to see more of the clear sky and blue sky. Having said that, in California and other areas, the global warming situation is aggravating because of the climate change issues. There are more possibilities for us to experience those kind of disasters based off of the climate change. As mentioned before, this kind of entertainment or co-working are also important, and also that's something that might not be replaced by 100% by the offline work or the face-to-face meeting in the future. However, what interested me is that as a part of the programs in the Spatial, I am able to watch movies together. I can play games with somebody else in the Spatial as well. So that kind of entertainment is something that I can enjoy very much in Spatial. That is big advantage of Spatial. Although we are just globally apart, we are in the millennium generation. There is kind of ENG next generation people. They can plot Fortnite or MG or Roblox. They are also creating new kinds of environment within those online space as well. So inside cyberspace, inside virtual reality, they have their own corner for the younger generation, next generation. That is something we have to attack to get the revenues out of them. Thank you. And we have questions from the audience.
Yes, so we have Mr. Lee and Mr. Son in this virtual space. So can you shake your hands? Is that possible to do? Can you try to shake your hands? Yes, you are approaching one another, and you've managed to we can also give each other high fives. So I think the audience wants to know whether this kind of thing is possible. They're very curious to know, and they want to know if we can move the cat also. We can also make it grow. So it cannot move, but it can grow. It can become big and small. Maybe for next time, we'll make sure that it can move around. And there's also a cup of milk on the table, because I wanted to give the cat the milk. So we're feeding the cat the milk. So as such, we are in a virtual reality environment, and it is possible for everyone to gather together and enjoy entertainment services. So we are undergoing these changes, and what kind of impact or opportunities would it have for the media and the startups? So what kind of opportunities and risk do they present? I believe that there are both opportunities and risks for the existing players. The risk would be that they really have to adapt quickly. And as for the new entrants with the new technologies, they will be having more opportunities. And of course, will the market pie grow further is a very important question. But in that sense, I think that there is more opportunity. So although I cannot provide all the answers, if we think about the concert industry or concert sector, so there are concerts like large-scale concerts, like 10,000 and 20,000 spectators. So it's very difficult for now. And there's also limitations in terms of the variety of artists that we can put up the show for, but though physically speaking, but in the virtual world, it is possible to embrace more artists. And although we have a lot of limitations or restrictions, once they are addressed, I'm sure that the artists who are less popular can also embrace more opportunities. And although this technology is not used by all the artists right now, I believe that in the future, where the VR technologies will become the mainstream, I think that all the artists will be able to leverage this. So I think there will be more opportunities for the sector, our sector at least. What about Mr. Son? There are always risks, and the risks come not due to external factors, but internal factors, because there have been a lot of AR and VR companies till now, and a lot of them also have disappeared. And all of those that are surviving to these days are indeed very competitive ones. And as I mentioned before, there is a change of generation, or generation changes. So that is why technology is important, but since we're seeing a change and transition of generations, that there will be more opportunities for the startups. And I'm very much interested in the concept of metaverse. So we're talking about the online, offline, cyber space. All of these universes are actually being combined into form a metaverse. So we're seeing that there is an increasing number of digital experiences available for the consumers, and we'll be able to build a digital ecosystem based on these digital experiences, and that will present new opportunities for people.
How about Mr. Lee? Yes, I agree with what I heard from the other two gentlemen here. Also, many of the tech companies so far have the experiences of being lagged behind the speed of the industry, not being able to make preparations properly, and they were just not able to catch the opportunities. Therefore, I would like to see more of the technologies which are taking opportunities proactively, because we know that many of them have lost their opportunities earlier. So this is a lesson we learned. So many of the people are becoming more agile this time around. So I could feel it nowadays myself. And as Mr. Son mentioned, there can be some capable companies and the latecomers and early comers and so on. So the timing and capability, both of them are very important factors for success. Also, as Mr. Lee mentioned, in the earlier days when acquisition was made, and there were bubbles, and also the bubbles were naturally coming down, and the second wave is now starting to be moving up. And many of the companies were able to catch the moment of having the bubble up again while they were just growing in the future. So that is the result we are seeing at the moment. Yes, thank you. One of the questions coming to us is going to Mr. Lee. Seung-jun Lee, Steve Lee, when you want to make the high quality content, it will be very expensive. And if we are, can you also think of the user generation content in the YouTube? Is it possible to have the sharing of the businesses in the future? Will that happen? Or if it does, how long do you think it will take before doing that? Yes, thank you. And that is the area we've been focusing our attention for the last 5 years. Only from our company started, we are a content provider, and so we were just trying to solve the issues and problems of the users generating content providers. And because of the expenses, costs, equipment, time and energy were all these stumbling blocks for the creators. Not all the creators were easily creating their own things. So even in the future, there will not be a time when everybody can become a just instant creator. But within the next 3 to 4 years, the situation will be much better for these creators. Yes, thank you. We have enjoyed this session too from many of the cities here. Mr. Lee from Silicon Valley and Jinha Lee from New York. So they are doing businesses in those cities and countries as well. According to the research done by the Ministry of Information and Technology, many of the companies have gone bankrupt after having been the startups. So the closure rate of the startups used to be 1%, but in this industry, the closure ratio, the disruption ratio is like 75%. So many of the startups are just closing down by 75% in Korea. Maybe that is the reason why for these two gentlemen went to the US to have a better business there. So having said that, having your experiences in outside country, do you have any remarks or recommendations to give to the Korean government? Mr. Lee, please. Yes, the virtual reality or the immersed reality that I am in should be given more support by the government. I know that the Korean government have been doing a lot to support this. I am very thankful and I appreciate that. However, we still have a long way to go. We should have the selection and concentration policy in order to grow this business more. If you look at the size of the subsidies or the grants by the government, that is enough actually for any of the companies to become a real immersed reality and VR companies. I know that there are multiple number of VR companies, but none of them are big enough to control or dominate the industry or lead the industry yet. Therefore, I really wish that the government can be more open to the industry, to the rest of the players. The VR industry or sector does not have much of the Korean audience. They only have 3% of Korean participants. We are just gearing toward the rest of the world, it means. Therefore, we have to go to other countries in order to survive as a company. Therefore, that kind of process requires government support as well. If the government is looking to us when we are entering other countries, I believe that there will be a better future for us. Thank you very much. Mr. Jinha Lee, please.
Yeah, so as Mr. Lee said, I too concur with his idea. And in order for a company to be successful, I believe that there are several factors that play in. So you have to get sufficient investment to establish good partnerships, and you can also find the right talents and also to find the right consumers. So all of these factors need to be met or satisfied in order to be successful. So in Korea, there are a lot. We have a lot of commercial companies. We have to actually tell the companies in Korea that there is a lot of potential in the AR/VR market, so that they will enter the market. But nowadays, a lot of the platform or hardware leading players are very much concentrated in the United States. So Oculus VR and AR is for Microsoft, the HoloLens products. So I think what boils down as important is to how we're going to, where we are going to focus. In what areas of the market we're going to focus so that we can ensure our survival in the long run. And the more companies will emerge in that direction, their success will be ensured in the longer term. Especially not only for the initial investment, but for the second round of investment or the third round of investment. So a lot of people are looking at the timeline. So if I cooperate or invest in this company, how long would I be able to get the benefits or returns on investments? And the investors also should have a long-term perspective and long-term vision. So one-off investment is not enough for the startup to build the momentum. So basically speaking, so you have to have a long-term vision, and you have to have a look. You have to have a look at the cycle or the vision of the market or the industry, and you also need to form a lot of network and partnerships. And if you have the right pool, you really have the government really has to work towards liaising the startups with the relevant partners. So the screen that you're looking at right now is based on VR technology, and we're using a VR device, and we have entered we're using the spatial software, and so I think that the software might be a little bit heavy to have a long time discussions for many hours. But I think that for the time being, it is quite promising. And actually, my youngest sister is in her 20s, and even if she plays a VR game for 2 to 3 hours, she has no issue. So as Mr. Son said, the Oculus Quest is going to probably launch its second version in September or in the fall. And I think by that time, we'll be able to have access to more generalized or more usable devices. So our two speakers are participating in this discussion with their Oculus goggles on. So I'd like to now move on to the last question. So post-COVID era, offline entertainment will be targeting manias or the big fans, and the online entertainment will actually provide more generalized services, and that's how the online and the offline media businesses will grow or thrive. So what are your views on this argument, Mr. Son? So added to that comment, as I mentioned in my streaming presentation, I think that premium VOD will dominate the market as well. So the offline concert or entertainment business is one thing, but once you actually enter that realm, so you can also get a special experience based on special gathering settings. I think we will actually experience this type of era. So we're not just talking about online versus offline, but the business model itself in the media industry will completely change. And so added to what's been said, that's what I wanted to share. And I would like to emphasize that we also have to pay attention to the changing business models.
Now, Mr. Lee. Jinha Lee, please. Yes, I agree with him. Not just the business models, but also other things as well. If we have the universal style or entry-level style of the equipment, means that we have the market for the entry-level products because of the strong foundation. So with the foundation, the market has been risen. That is the reason why we can also have the entry-level equipment or products as well. If we have the bigger number of entry-level products, that is the momentum to just grow into the next phase. So the tools to deliver these things should be ripe enough so that the media in between can be also all across the network. So that is some essential things that we have to prepare. And Steve Lee, please. Yeah, I really agree with the comments made by other people as well. I make some examples of the movie theaters in the 1980s myself. When you remember the experiences of the movie theaters in the 1980s, this is quite different story of what you are experiencing nowadays in your living room with VR. So the equipment that was used in the 1980s, they can be more immersive and the offline. So when we have the distribution channels in the offline, we have the motion chairs and the headsets. They're very expensive. Their setup requires about 10 million won. And also the online VR is also distributed with the contents in here. So the content is not up to the level of the quality in here. So we're making a separate market for that because of that intentionally, and price ranges are different as well. So that is kind of way of doing our differentiating. businesses. Well, thank you very much. These two guys in the special seem to enjoy themselves very much. So why don't you just give a final remark to say goodbye, Mr. Son, please.
So thank you very much for inviting me to this very meaningful event. And it is a government-sponsored event and jointly organized by Korea Startup Forum. And Miilk is also very happy to partner with you to hold this event. And amid this digital transformation, I think the most important thing is people. So I want to encourage everyone to weather through this crisis all together, and that is why I'm sending you all this warm heart through the screen as my gesture of encouragement and support to you. And thank you, Mr. Lee. You have the floor. So I didn't really prepare such a cutie closing comments, but SPATIAL is known as a collaborative platform, and we were able to provide that collaborative platform today for discussions. And I would like to also ask our audience who are virtually joining us to use this kind of platform in the future to meet with one another and discuss with one another. And I think that future is not very distant. I think that you can have high expectations for that. And we are working very hard. We have worked hard to develop this platform. So thank you very much for using this platform for this forum. Thank you. So with that, we are going to wrap up the session of the future of entertainment and new media. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you once again. So it was quite interesting to see a very intriguing technology, and maybe in a few years' time, we'll be able to maybe all of us can actually join that virtual platform to discuss one another. So maybe we'll be able to engage in a more immersive experience and environment in the near future in the context of this forum. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end of the morning session, and during the afternoon session will begin from 1 p.m. So we are going to have a special session from 1 p.m. and we're going to have CEOs of 5 startups that are leading the changes and innovations in the post-COVID digital economic era. So we're going to entertain their insights. And after that 1 p.m. special session, we're going to entertain the second keynote speech by Mr. Andrew Wyckoff, who is the Director of Science Technology Industry at OECD, and he's going to talk about the COVID-19 and digitally induced structural change. Followed by the keynote presentation, we're going to have the third session. So today we talked about a job as well in other sessions, but the third session will be focused more on work and a job, employment. And during the fourth session, we're going to talk about healthcare. So today, at this age, you hear a lot about the WHO on the news. So we're going to actually have an expert from WHO joining us for session 4. So we look forward to your continued interest and participation for the afternoon sessions as well.
참가해 주신 분들 대상으로도 다양한 경품 이벤트 준비했습니다. 아마 제가 마무리 멘트하면 화면으로 나올 것 같은데요. 화면을 통해서 이벤트에 참석하시고 또 경품도 받아가시길 바라겠습니다. 자, 이것으로
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to wrap up the morning session. I will see you back at 1 p.m. Thank you.